The European Ultimate Championship Finals 2022 in Caorle, Venice. We are on day 3, folks. It is business time. Semi-final women's division action from CUSB. Shout the Bologna women's outfit. Well decorated, well known on these pitches versus Bristol Ultimate coming out of the UK, having taken the national, well, silver medal, I believe, against LMU. No, they got bested. Sorry.
It was Gravity versus LMU in the final.
There we are. It's been a long day, Luke. The sun has finally arrived. We fluffed the opener.
It's been a long season.
It really has. It has. And both these teams turned up at the World Championships in Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago and put in plenty of duty here. They've picked up some extras, have Bristol women, in the form of Jessie Sang, the number 52, the Canadian from Sixers. Of course, back on the roster is Molly Wedge, who was missing at Nationals in the UK, but they're going to overshoot her and have the disc tipped away after coming out on offense. Disc in hand. Oh, a very low one, well kept up by Bonus. Jinking back to Pancotti. A big old roster for the Italian side. Of course, this is home turf for them. Lawley. Oh, and that is a feisty disc indeed. Caorle Link underneath it, goes up, falls over, a little bit of contact, but I think that's going to be called good for Gaia Pancotti.
Yeah, Caorle tried to attack that disc extremely early. I think Pancotti did well to come down with it in the end.
Well, we'll get another look at that one after the overshot to Wedge. Beautiful release. And that's going to be called good. We don't get to see the replay in the end forward.
No, but realistically, Pancotti did extremely well to come down with it, and they are credited with a well-earned score.
Yeah, the difference maker there is just staying on the feet. But a great catch-up from Link to make it there. Of course, she'll be in fine fettle, having trained for that, of course, World Games squad appearance earlier in the season. Again, that's triplicate international tournament.
Yeah, 3 international championship events in 1 year. Just incredible stamina, mental and physical.
Absolutely. So a nice start for Shout. They are the favourites here to get into the medal match. Well, at least for the gold and silver anyway. Might be a dirty bronze for Bristol if they can't quite make it over the Italian champions.
I mean, Bristol have had a great weekend though.
They really have. They had an earlier matchup where they actually won in sudden death. They went down after trading for a little bit. 4 points. They conceded to 3SB from the Czech Republic. And then their D-line went on a bit of a run in the second half. So they might prefer coming from behind. Fakes off the pop to Molly Wedge. Cordelia Lodge, one of the longest standing Bristol Ultimate women. Finds Link, goes to ground. This is going to be Link's last season. She's now moved away from Bristol, loses it to Molly Wedge, just shy of the goal line. Looks around, offhand backhand. Oh, Wedge with a delicate footwork, but Lodge doesn't like the look of it. Oh, but Caorle Link left completely free, and that's a nice find for Bristol women. They hold their second, and we are at ones.
Yeah, Caorle Link putting in some work at that point. Rescues the low disc. And then just dinks her toes over the end zone line on the catch for the score. And her throw to Molly Wedge wasn't bad either.
So after an initial shake, this upwind, downwind pitch, of course, that has been a real tricky one for these women's teams. We just saw Yaka ascend over Seagulls, but it took them a full 95 minutes to do it, 15-8. Just goes to show how tricky it is to score in these windy, swirly conditions. So right to left as you see it on our camera view, a slight diagonality about it, near side to far side, but either way it's gusty and swirly.
Challenging conditions. Deceptive as well. Especially when the sun's out like this, it can feel as if the wind isn't as strong as it really is, and then if you release the disc slightly wrong, the wind will punish you.
Absolutely. It'll smack the disc down, so Roskowska on the mark. A high one. That's going to knock out the hands of Anna Czeszki. Of course, Shout delighted to have Czeszki and Farolfi back, who were not on Shout's roster at the World Championships. Ruth Taylor tips it on. There's a bit of a game. Backline, and Lisa Hocking picking up the trash at the end of that game of pinball.
3 different players touched that.
Yeah, big old clash there. Just a foul call. Not impacting the disc at all, but Hocking getting sandwiched by Harris and Czeszki there. It's a bit too much body contact.
Disc will stay with Bristol though.
Yeah, a little bit of luck always helps. As we catch some shade from the players walking past on the sideline. Molly Wedge apparently says that's all skill. I mean, it was good focus from Hocking for sure.
Well, the more skillful you get, the more lucky you get.
That's true. And Hocking throws a beautiful inside. It gets tipped away, nearly redeemed by Lily Morris at the back, but just a bit too much traffic.
I thought that was guaranteed to come down in Bristol hands after the previous play.
Oh, just getting in each other's way a little bit, but that's lovely give and go flow down the near sideline for CUSB. They put it a little bit too far though, just into the turf in front of Julia Harris.
That's what I was saying about the wind. If you mis-execute your throw even slightly, the wind will punish you for it.
Oh, Amelia Durbin's going to put an absolute sitter up. Hocking tries to go up, but look how much shorter she is than the matchup there. The height of Elena Bengi.
No doubt.
Fetching bucket hat as well. You sit the disc up against the wind here, it's not going to end well for you unless you are tall. Nice play though, good sandwich. Great effort from Rona Binney to try and get the run through block, but well held. Giving and going, Harris now launches it. Oh, and it is Scazzieri, Irene Scazzieri, the number 18 with the goal. Just a hold for CUSB Shout, but so close to getting that break back up win for Bristol. If they don't come out the victors, they'll be watching this one back with gritted teeth.
Yeah, that's a crucial missed opportunity for Bristol. But the offense from Shout on their scoring possession was absolutely sensational. They just tore down the pitch, giving and going. No one for Bristol was ever anywhere near the disc.
Well, in the end, in the semi-finals, no, the quarter-finals even, goodness, put my brain back on. In the quarter-finals, CUSB kind of had a rollout against Valkyria, who have such a talented roster but haven't been able to put much together because they've got a couple too few pickups. They've not really connected well. They had a lot of very intense games. I think they ended up besting that one out 15-10, whereas we thought about switching those games around and bringing you the stream coverage of 3SB Bristol, and that one went right down to the wire, with unfortunately 3SB having thrown away a slightly easy swing pass and given Bristol a short field opportunity for a break to take that one out. But this one's still all to play for. CUSB up the one break. Randall's available. Kantorovic just trotting away as we see a zone look.
Saw plenty of zone in the previous game. Was very effective for both teams.
It absolutely was. Just trying to confuse the space around. Lots of Bristol players hanging around in the backfield. Carla Link now coming in. Kantorovic has a little look at the pocket through the centre of the cup. A little bit tentative, stall count starts to rise. Link now. Ooh, a low one to Kantorovic. It's called down by other players. and it is indeed great spirit. And Saskia Kantorovich signals the turnover. Short field for CUSB to punch another break in. Looking around for options. Oldfield dancing around on the mark, going all the way around the world, stamping her passport several times. Volley up. Oh, lovely grab from Laura Farolfi. And into the bread basket it goes for the goal, and that is the second break for Shout, extending their lead now 3-1.
Unfortunate turnover from Bristol. Kantorovich was extremely close to scooping that disc up off the ground from Link. But if you give Shout a short field like that, they're going to punch it in. As we see just how quickly they keep the disc moving. Barely have time to come to a stop and pivot.
Well, you don't need to.
You don't need to, no.
But by Gaia Pancotti, I love the little like fist pump acceleration after she throws it. She knows that that's good. Into the lap of the number 43, Susanna Casarini.
So Bristol are going to have to come up with something to stop this fast-flowing Shout offense. Every time they get the disc, they seem to just run away. Bristol don't really get a look in.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've talked about the fact that they have an extra 5 pairs of legs here at this European Championships.
I believe Bristol did have a much larger initial roster for this tournament, but then as the dates got closer, a number of players had to pull out.
Well, it's been a brutal format, you know, 4 days, 2 of those days you only have 1 game. There's definitely been lots of murmurings around the field sites about lots of things this European Championships around. Things to do with seeding, things to do with the format, things to do with having 6 rounds of pitches, like 6 rounds of games on single pitches when you're not always going to have the best weather, because we're not in the middle of summer. This is, of course, autumn drawing in, the days getting shorter. But at the moment, that's going to be a big, long pass across to Molly Wedge. Off into the deep space goes Laurel Piper. Doesn't get picked off, though. Oldfield back to Lodge. Popping in front of Carla Link. Reaching low backhand release. Grinding up the far side. Kantorovich now underneath. He's represented GB women a number of times, including at the Beach Championships. It's just be a chuck it in hope. Piper and Wedge underneath it, but so are the defense, and it's tipped away. Don't know if that was a Frangipane or Bic, but doesn't really matter. The disc back in Italian hands.
Yeah, Bristol never really had the space to throw to there. But in their defense, the dump defense was extremely good.
Oh, Oldfield chasing, but doesn't have position enough to deny bonus. Look at the give and goes here. This is delicious offense from the Shout side. It's like a bit of biscotti with your espresso. Frangipane, nice inside release. Marchesini. Lots of small passes, but happy to take the Manile floater. Oh, we're reaching behind the back. That's not the nicest pass for Giulia Baroni to pull in, but she does so with style, and that is now 4-1. Familiar territory for Bristol after their match against CSB, perhaps, but...
Comeback starts here.
Can I say it might be a bit trickier to do the comeback against CSB than it would be 3SB?
Shout looks so good right now.
Yeah, 3SB are very good, but CUSB right now just woof.
Yeah, 3SB quality side, but Shout are just on another level right now.
They are on fire. And we're having a timeout taken, rather unsurprisingly. Bristol need to put their heads together, pull their heads up, out of the ground, dust themselves off, and come out this one firing. But we're going to take a very quick break alongside the teams. We'll be back with more action after this.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Nova Scotia Electric, become a member.
Don't want to miss anything?
Though loads of tournaments happening, which you can attend either as a player or a spectator. You can find them on ULTI.TV, link in the description.
Welcome back. First half of this women's semi-final matchup between CUSB Shout, the Bologna side, versus Bristol women. No guessing which city they're from.
Cardiff.
You're just trolling me now, Luke. Come on. But hailing from
Truro.
the UK, of course, as Luke very kindly
London.
corrected me when I struggled at the opener of this game. It's been a long day. We are perhaps a little bit of the T word, but out on the field, Bristol are looking energetic. Sarah Jeffrey all over the field. Wasn't at the World Championships for Bristol, but playing a little bit closer to home here in Caorle, not the transatlantic. Sticking her hand up in the air. She is very available.
She's right on the sideline, though. It's not great field position.
I don't know, Caorle Link's now available. I like
There
the
we go.
lateral movement across. Oh my goodness, what a rocket that is! Caorle Link to Laurel Piper.
What? Carla Link just deleted the disc.
Control, Alt, Delete. Wait, what? Reset. That, to be honest, that resets the energy of this game. She's done a task manager, cleared all the negativity.
Yeah.
Reset, let's go.
She cut and paste the disc into the end zone, into Piper's hands. It was an absolute bullet of a forehand.
Well, we like a bit
I
of
love that throw through the zone as well. Like, just this forehand. Oh my goodness.
Yummy.
Wow.
We like that.
More of that, please, Bristol. Let's go.
Well, that's much better in terms of the execution. I mean, almost like Carla had taken all the frustration from the previous two breaks, three breaks they conceded, and was just like, I want this. So that's much better execution. I like how you didn't like Sarah Jeffrey being aggressive towards this near sideline. Is she going to get slapped? No, straight
No.
through.
I like the fact that she's there, but for me, the throw was slightly too far and slightly too close to the sideline. She takes 2 steps in. As soon as she makes contact with the thrower, she can take 2 steps in, attack the disc, get it with momentum going forwards, and then as the defense comes, she can step through and get the disc through the zone, which is exactly what happened, just a little bit slower than I was drawing up in my head.
Well, Anna Czeski in the center of the field for CUSB Shout. Looking around for options. This is hot match defense. Great work in the back set. Thinking about the high release. Holsters. Around the back. Pagliarini. Such a useful handler for the side, of course, as well as Sorrenti. Finds Scazzieri. To the other Scazzieri sister. It helps that they have a number difference between them. A lovely upline snag from Sorrenti and a pop into Czeski. No pick call. She was suspiciously free, but just does it with the pure drive of her legs.
Again, extremely impressive offense from Shout. They get the disc moving, they keep it moving. And they just walk down the field into the end zone.
It was initially very good match defense, though, amongst the handler set. Creds to the very, very speedy Lyndon Chiang. I believe, who was marking up. Good initial denial, but once they get momentum moving them down the field, it's really hard to stop the flow. The timing as well.
It's so good. They're getting free in exactly the right space at exactly the right time, just as the thrower is catching the disc and looking in that direction. The movement downfield is fantastic. The spacing is fantastic. It's so difficult to play defense against this.
I'm going to give you a challenge, Luke. Right, we've layered on so much praise onto the offense of the Bologna side.
You're going to ask me to criticize them?
Yep. I want you to
No
critically
problem.
and analyze this next point.
All right.
If they get a shout on offense.
Next offensive possession.
Yeah.
I'll just rip into shout and tell you why they're garbage.
I mean, they're not garbage.
Clearly not. They're scoring with ease.
I want you to find the small creaky chinks in the armour.
Yeah.
And tell us what
All right.
they are.
Is anyone from Bristol tuning into the stream? Okay.
I mean, they are
You
still
stood
right
here.
in front of us.
They are still here right in front of us. All right, where's their coach?
Well, he's lurking on the far side in a sun hoodie. Ben Hall, previously of Devon Ultimate, if I recall correctly.
Might have an earpiece in listening. You never know.
Well, you know. I mean, most of what we say is hot garbage, but that was a...
Speak for yourself, Anna.
just a bit of a self-burn. Sorrenti. So, Farolfi even. Francesco. Laura Farolfi. There we go. Moving around. Oh, look at the holes. Just, it's a little bit slower.
It is.
But Farolfi gets low and punches it into the end zone. Even with her right quad covered in compression, she is able to go to work for her side and beat pretty much every third pass.
So if we're being ultra critical, Hannah.
Yep.
Which apparently we are now. There was a moment just after the turnover where a few shout players kind of clustered together, and at that point none of them were really available to be thrown to. To Bristol's credit, they did switch a couple times, which is the counter to that clustering up, to try and cover the options, although it wasn't as clean as it needed to be to shut down everything. And a few moments later, Shout had returned to good spacing and they kept their disc moving. So you mentioned that it was a bit slower than last time, and I think that was why, because a few of their players grouped up in the middle of the pitch just briefly and caused the disc to go from side to side a few times rather than just punching forwards.
Well, it shows the smarts of the defense when Bristol were turned. You know, switching, communicating, especially when CUSB are as rapid as they are, is really going to be key to slowing down their offensive drives. And it's a great rundown of a big old pool. Caorle Link in the centre of the field. Got Randalls, the long-time teammate, joining this side. A strip's going to be called. Absolutely immediately accepted.
Yeah. Link didn't know there was a defender there. Turns out there was.
Indeed, but she did not intend to release the disc. Oh, beautiful inside shot to Sarah Jeffrey off the paws of Molly Wedge, the Canadian. Little knee taken by Link to Randalls. Cross to Wedge.
Oh.
Makes herself a hero. I mean, on a scale of layout difficulty, that's probably about a 3 out of 10, especially when you're Wedge.
Easy grab for Wedge.
Jeffrey, previously of Portsmouth University, Sublime. Well, they're fetching purple shirts. It's a really, another low one though. Bristol needs to stop throwing at the floor. It's true.
High level coaching from Hannah.
But that one is also going to go to ground. Chasing it down is Gaia Pancotti, but did not quite have enough of jet fuel. Have to go to the gas station that's just a few meters behind us. Molly Wedge taking a lot of impact on the far side, but fair fight, she says. Marcassini. Oh, lovely giving and going. Casarini now. Looks at the inside shot. That's gorgeous. And it sets up the break side, sliding around, but just about reels it in for another goal. And CUSB are 1 away from half, leading the charge 7-2.
Such an impressive performance from CUSB Shout. Really not a lot to criticize on that possession. I think the only thing we could point at would be the difficult break side cut that we're about to see the throw to. So nothing infield, has to go for that, which is a sensational throw. And then good timing on the cut in the end zone. Looks like
Bellini, my goodness. The recovery on that. The disc from Sara Rabaglia, not the best choice. Like a good idea, but just like a good solid 2 beats late.
Yeah, well, so the problem with that is when she caught the disc, she immediately turned and looked to the end zone. And there was no guarantee whatsoever that there'd be a receiver there. And when you've just caught a disc, spun round, and you're looking downfield, it does take, I mean, for elite players, a couple milliseconds, but still some time to like pass the information in front of you, to see the field, understand what's there. And when there's not a lot of space to work with, you can try and ping the disc quickly, but by the time you've reacted to it and your muscles are fired to do the throwing motion, it can be just a bit too late. So we see that sensational catch from Bristol.
Yeah, Lisa Hocking there. Formerly a taekwondo athlete. I would love to see a
There's not enough head kicks in Ultimate.
I would love to see a matchup. I mean, I know it's different disciplines, so it probably doesn't work, but
that forehand from
Nicole
Caorle,
Lester,
oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, that was a ripper. I'd like to see a matchup, just as like a no holds barred grudge match between Lisa Hocking and Nicole Lester of Reading, because Nicole Lester was a GB level karate athlete.
Taekwondo versus karate is pretty balanced.
Well, there you go. I know nothing about these martial arts.
That would be an interesting matchup. Although GB karate, like how good a level of taekwondo athlete are we talking at? GB level?
I don't know. Pretty good from what
I think because taekwondo's in the Olympics, but karate isn't. So taekwondo is probably the more.
Oh, hold on. We've got some
sport.
It's a 3rd dan black belt in taekwondo. Could probably beat up everyone on the field if she wanted to.
That's a good matchup then. GB karate versus 3rd dan black belt taekwondo is.
Maybe we'll get them
Glasgow next year. We'll work out. Well, that's very, very different to both of those. If it was like, if they were both like jiu-jitsu players or something, like the sock wrestling would be like world class.
True. Jiu-jitsu is all about the suppression holds and the kind of grappling type moves as far as I'm aware. But
Frisbee's happening.
Yeah, back to the field. Sarah Jeffrey on the far side, disc in hand. Has Oldfield available up line, goes for Lodge. Nice inside to Wedge, just squeaking it down the far sideline. It's a high one. Laurel Piper has a go at it, but just closes the hands with nothing but air in between the fingers.
Expected Piper to come down with that one. It was such a good look from Bristol.
It had a lot of pace on it in a very small channel, so it's a tricky option. But yeah, Laurel Piper definitely most days at the office is going to have that one, but it's a lot of pressure on the shoulders. This is to keep this half alive. Bringing us back in, Chiara Lorley. And a Cheshki in the underneath space, get a big block from Carla Link. She's going to call a foul potentially, just to have a think about it maybe.
There's definitely some contact. Whether it was impactful or not, we will have to let the players decide.
We might get a reshot at it. It's an interesting one, because I think possibly the contact happens before the catch, maybe?
Difficult to see.
I think Link at that point was trying to get out of the way, but
probably, yeah. It's hard to tell.
It's good underneath body aggression from Cheshki to, keep her
call has been retracted.
There you go. You're allowed to make the calls just to have the discussion, have a think about it.
Oh yeah, it was discussable for sure.
So the disc one back off the hot pressure defense of Carla Link, who's going to bring us back underway. Wedge going immediately to that near sideline. And that is keeping us in the first half for at least one more point.
That's the easier version of the initial shot to Piper. Bristol turned over on, but much cleaner on the second time of asking.
And it's another link to wedge. So those two players.
It's a classic connection.
It really is. So them both on the World Games squad, which was a curious experience for Team GB. They did pretty well, but unfortunately couldn't quite get there.
Didn't get a win.
Game. Yeah.
Didn't get a win last time around either. But it's not easy at the World Games because they only invite the best teams and best players in the world. There are no easy matchups. Even the Polish side in the last time round were
indeed getting the host bid.
Not an easy team to beat. Made the final of Windmill that year against the Europe's best mixed club teams. But great experience for all of the GB athletes nonetheless.
Absolutely. You see a little bit of Bristol on the sideline there. But now is the opportunity for the Italians with their O-line outfit. Julia Harris, the American, coming across for a good couple seasons now to play in Italy. Ceschi in the center. Oh, huge low grab for Scazzieri. That's Sofia in the 19, of course. Irene plays in 18, the other sister. Oh, and it's a shoot too low. Great effort, the action roll from Arianna Pagliarini, trying to come up with that one, but an
she got
opportunity
close.
Now. Rostkowska to Hocking, looking a touch nervous, scooping around to open up the shot to Durbin. Morris. Durbin. Ruth Taylor hanging out in the deep space with Morris. Nice run from Hocking against this zone, and that's a laser backhand. It's going to sit and hang and be collected on the far side by Izzy Collins. One of two Collins sisters that plays for Bristol. That's going to be a strip call, I think, on the far side. As Ceschi just getting in the way.
Had the pleasure of playing with Collins at Glasgow this year.
A wonderful
It was a
human
good time.
being.
Great teammate.
I'm not quite sure if she's the taller of her and her sister Tash, but of course just one Collins sister, but the disc is going to flutter away. A foul call on the throw, which is unsurprising. That didn't come out in any way, shape or form the way Amelia Durbin intended. The Senior Internal Communications Coordinator, originally from Devon. And of course, Devon's Sexy Fish Monsters are present at this European Championships. If you've not checked out their Instagram,
it's an experience.
It's not very family friendly, but we
safe for
find
work.
it hilarious. Oh, a big backhand for Ruth Taylor to Collins, and finally, Bristol get themselves a break.
Incredible work from Bristol. They had to grind it out. There are a few calls, a few stoppages, but they get the job done.
So we'll get another look at that foul. Oh no, not the foul, the second one. But Ruth Taylor with a laser backhand pinpoint.
Just finding the gaps. No hesitation.
And Izzy Collins having had an interesting year in general, but congratulations to her, finishing out her Masters, I believe. Now into the wide world of, back into the wild world of employment.
She's like a real adult now.
It's very exciting. She says her highlight of her ultimate playing career was attending the World Championships back in July.
Wasn't Glasgow?
It wasn't Glasgow, I'm afraid. What was the team name at Glasgow when you had the pleasure of playing with Izzy? Because I've not had the pleasure yet. Oh, the Mexicans. Yeah. Lovely.
How have you not played for the Mexicans already? We need to make that happen.
You need to invite me, buddy.
Yeah.
I am now back in playing shape. It's great.
It's true. Saw you working out earlier. Great hustle.
We've got to do it. So, taking the disc for a walk is Bengi. And a high one with Farolfi underneath it. Makes those look very easy. Oh, but just a missed catch. The drop for Farolfi, giving the opportunity. Link across to Jesse Sang, the Canadian pickup for sixes. It's a big, lofty one. It's going to have to be run down. And it is a second break for Bristol. And their D-line starts the roll. My goodness. Are they going to do it again, Luke? Are they going to do to CUSB what they did to 3SB? My feelings are starting to get a bit excited. What about you?
Bristol are here to play. Shout immediately call the timeout. Bristol are fired up. All it took was one mistake from Shout. Caorle Link immediately picks up the disc and Bristol punish.
Well,
we have a game on our hands, Hanny.
Well, I mean, we're still 3 breaks trailing if you're a Bristol fan. We, of course, remain impartial here in the desk, but we're going to take a brief break. We'll bring you the action of the latter stages of this first half after the
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
So with the fans on the sideline for Great Britain, is this the start of the Bristol comeback? They just got 2 breaks, 3 scores on the bounce to claw their way back almost into this one. But a timeout call from CUSB, from Shout, might have been enough to steady the nerves and punch this one in. Farolfi hanging out in the deep space, but Wedge poaching right off. Fliss man on the mark against Farolfi. Cheshki now coming up against Collins. This is nice spinning around. Big, lusty fakes. Morris, though, is going to take that away. Farolfi can do nothing but have dismay. Took a bit of a face there. Roskowska easily available, back to Link. Zone look again from the Italians. We need to work it around together. Alcock. One of 2 Alcock siblings, her older brother having played on the pitch behind us. The lovely man Josh, but oh, that's a huge disc that's not going to be recovered. Nearly a full handful of foot from the mark there. It just comes up a little bit too hasty. Nice high grab. Inside break down this near side. Scazzieri palmed back to Farolfi. This is a good movement from the Italians. Oh, well clutched in. Throwing at the edges of their ability. That is a beautiful arcing flick, well taken by Sorrenti. Pops and goes immediately into the end zone. A big old bosh for Anna Cheshki, but she's happy to take it. Farolfi to Cheshki. The two giving and going, and eventually it's a Sorrenti finish, and that is the half for Shout. It looked very exciting there, like the D-line of Bristol were going to go on a heckin' train comeback, but not quite. Because Shout silenced them for one, and we're going to take this into half.
Yep, the timeout got the job done, I suppose. They do take half. Bristol were gifted the disc back and then just rushed the deep shot from Link, I think, a little bit. A bit more patience, and maybe they could have got another point on the board, but fantastic work from Shout to go the full length and slot that one in. Some clever small ball offense at the end, and they do find themselves up 8-3, 8-5 even. So while the players take a quick halftime break, so will we. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member
and fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
We're so fortunate, Lou, to have such attractive logos for our Patreon sponsors that have them. If you want to get your logo, whether it's your team, your company, whatever, or not whatever, there are some standards and practices that even ULTI.TV has, feel free to join and become a patron of Ultimate coverage. Make it huge, make it better, give us more budget so we can spend it on cool stuff like live streams. Not on us as individuals, even though we have some excellent swag. Thank you, Sports Ultimate, for giving that to us. But at the moment, Bristol coming out on defense. The D-line took 3 on the bounce after some devastating stuff from CUSB Shout to begin us with. But they have some confidence now. They might be able to get their slingshot out and get a shot at their foreheads of the Goliath side. That is CUSB Shout. Sang on the mark for Ferolfi, causes a high one. Taylor underneath it, and it's going to be her with the tips to knock it out of contention. Hocking picks up Roskowska, formerly of Leeds ladies, coming across to Bristol after she moved down south, where it's warmer and sunnier. Which I know for a fact, because my family are from the north. So I'm allowed to say it. Sang, the Canadian, finds her fellow countrywoman with a huge grab. Hocking far sideline. Nice one back to Roskowska. It's just there for the super dump. Durbin now replaces. Jessie Sang thinks about the pop across. Just patiently waiting. Durbin and Roskowska there. Hocking now trying to stretch it laterally. There's a big old pocket on the shorter side. A huge layout from Jessie Sang, but unfortunately not to be. Durbs cannot connect. Shishki now. Working it up. Oh, but a bit of confusion is going to give the disc back to the team in red. Ruth Taylor opens up a huge backhand, but that is to absolutely nobody. Perhaps playing for yards here.
We saw it in the previous game. I suppose we're seeing it in this one as well.
But we've seen the Italians move up the pitch so well when they're in flow, giving them a third look at their offensive conversion. Might have been one too many. A bit hasty from Taylor. Bringing us back in is Frangipane. Pagliarini with a low one to Ferolfi. Has units available upfield. Giving and going. Look, everybody in front. Travel is going to be called. Is it going to be retracted perhaps? Some players did stop.
The travel call was a while ago.
It's whether or not the players downfield actually heard it and stopped playing. I think that one, certainly the nearest players to where the travel occurred, where Hocking was making the call. But of course, the players on the field will get the chance to discuss it between each other. Certainly it did look like everybody else upfield continued play as they normally would. Yeah,
but I think the travel was like several throws ago.
But the whole point is if the players on the field want to and they say that it didn't impact what actually occurred, if none of the defenders and defensive players upfield really heard the call and stopped it in any meaningful way.
Oh no, I agree. It's up to the players to decide whether or not the call affected the play.
Exactly. That's the summation.
Even if the call was multiple passes before.
But in the centre of the field, just having a chat.
The offense from Shout has been so fluid, though.
It has, and I think it's, partly in the midsection. I remember thinking in my head, I was like, Shout are just deep of all of the Bristol players by a good sort of, at least a metre. Yeah,
and they've got the momentum going with them. They've kept the disc moving, and
perhaps too much momentum in the end. I think the Spirit captains might be coming onto the field to give a bit of clarification. It's definitely beyond the time limit for chats. But this one is going to come back to where the travel occurred. So that would be for Olfi. I would wager that when the travel and actually infraction happened, it would be a case of most of the pack should be significantly further back in field than they are currently spread. But we're going to, as long as everybody is happy to play on from where they think they were. Oh no, here we are, going to all move around. But of course, any player on the field can make a travel call. You don't have to be on the mark. Although I feel like Hocking, watching this back, might ask for a redo on that one. If only she could pull it back. But you've got to make the calls as you see them on the field. So perhaps a bit of a gimme for CUSB. Frangipane. The lovely inside to person without a mark. Ferolfi has a go at a bit of a balletic score. Gonna have a chat with Sang about it.
Yeah, there's a weird sort of toe-in attempt and then a resetting of the feet. So we look at it again. Yeah, there. Sets a pivot foot, takes 2 steps forward for some reason, and
a violation called on the field.
Might be like
getting a lot of call action in a single point. It's always nice when teams do that efficiently, but it's going to be retracted, and that's going to be called good for the goal.
That's unfortunate for Bristol. It's one of those cases where if you didn't make the travel call, they were going to turn over anyway, but you don't know that when you call the travel, right?
It is a curious one, Luke. Obviously, we're not involved with the discussion. I'm not sure how many of the players downfield had heard the call, and certainly if it had impacted their play. It was a big shot from the centre of the field, much further on, but this is the way the game goes.
Yes.
Got to play it how you play it, and that's the way it went. So potentially a squandered opportunity there for Bristol. They did have opportunities with the disc in hand during that point, so their D-line still doing the right stuff, but they're going to have to come out with a hold here.
Yep, still a long way to go for Bristol. They've had moments of brilliance where they have looked decisively like the better team, but when CUSB Shout are firing, they, dare I say it, look like the best offense in Europe.
Well, certainly some thereof. Very deep pull. And pressure being applied in Callahan County. Jeffrey with a nice one through to Link. I thought that was going to be snaffled away. But the defense deciding to just hang back and allow it. Lodge available on the far side. Just those little tiny gainers. Jeffrey crashing in. Oh, what a snag that was from Sarah Jeffrey. Having moved across to Bristol a couple seasons ago. Nice giving and going, working it through the handlers. Now behind the cup, able to be more expansive. Molly Wedge has a little look. Kantorovich in the back corner. Love the way she pivots and fakes, moving the marks around. And it's melted to match. Jeffrey now far side.
There is a bust in coverage.
Wedge coming under. So it came out of nowhere, the young Canadian. And it now is such a big piece of Bristol's offense. The other side of that usually Link. She gets up and gets a bit excited, but holsters. Has the reset available around. Is going to have to chuck it in hope, but that's going to be to absolutely nobody. A nice idea, but the defense saw it first. And a huge inside. How was that held onto by Bancotti? My goodness. So where is the defense? Trying to play it smart rather than hard. A good recovery though, sort of popped into space. Smart stuff from the Italians. They're putting a bit more hang on these when they're putting them out into space. Oh, and that's a beautiful way to score a goal. Gaia Pancotti reels it in the end. Such a shame for Bristol. They were pretty close to it, but the pressure from the Italians just too much to surmount.
Yeah, Caorle Link on the end zone line. Never once did she look for a reset. It was end zone or nothing. And I respect that against a side, the quality of Shout, the opportunities are going to come few and far between. And when you have the disc on the end zone line, you want to put it in, but
that's exactly it. You've got to treasure it, Lou. You've got to look for your resets. You have to take, because no defense is perfect 100% of the time. There was an opportunity to reset the disc to Hannah Randalls, who came right all the way back for negative yards, which CUSB seemed happy to give her. But like you say, she just got end zone eyes. It happens to all of us.
As much as I'm a proponent of quick disc movement and keeping the offense flowing, throwing backwards, throwing sideways whenever possible, I do respect having a role player on your team who has license to hold the disc and look for really powerful throws. We see this with Ina Cartagena on Revo, and we're seeing this with Caorle Link here for Bristol, but you have to know shooters can shoot, but shooters can also turn over, and that's what happened there, and I would have loved to see a reset.
Yeah, oftentimes you see the high risk, high reward players on D lines, but you always want to have secure and calm passes. So we see potentially a fast, some kind of marking infraction being called on Giovannini. She'll just have a little chat with Molly Wedge. Wedge, of course, nearly Masters eligible, so watch out. 29-year-old.
I think LMU are eyeing her up.
I think a lot of teams will be eyeing her up. think a lot of players in general, lots of people have become a fan of the wedge machine. Jessie Sang, though, underneath, currently living in France, picking it up for Bristol. At least that's what my intel told me. Could well be wrong. But the Sixers player has been a useful pickup at this European Championship level. The 17s marking each other. Caorle and Caorle Link going toe-to-toe. As Bristol put on some match defense. Frangipane with the high one. But it sinks nicely. Lolly looking around for options. This is good. Pressure. Oh, ooh. Huge effort from Jessie Sang to try and snag the disc back. Jeffrey adjusts the mark well. It's a low one. Lolly lays and calls the timeout. Things looking a little bit messy. Just a brief pause will be taken as they sit pretty. 5 points to the better.
Yeah, the fast flowing offense came a bit stuck. A few bailout catches. So CUSB will reset themselves, as will we here on the desk. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. ULTI.TV.
Enjoying the show? Show your support for the live stream and the people making the show. Buy a super chat or super sticker on YouTube directly. Select your donation and type your message to the world. And share. All donations go into directly funding new shows. Buy a super sticker or super chat now. Thank you. We believe mixed is the best for the sport, for the world. That's why we're making a global showcase, starting in Europe, made in Amsterdam. ULTI League. ULTILeague.net.
Welcome back to the second half of this women's semi-final matchup. CUSB shouts the Bologna women's side currently large and in charge. They've grabbed Bristol by both shoulders and have given them a good old shake. There's been some moments of brilliance for the team in red, but right now it's just trying to hold on. Lolly matching up against Caorle Link. Just coming in round 5 by the sounds of it. And an instant shot into the center. And the secondary, wow. The timing of the cuts for Shout is just electric. Tramonte finds Pancotti for the goal, and 11-5 now they lead.
Shout's set up so spread out from that timeout, which allowed for that first isolation throw and then an easy continuation. Even if Bristol had committed hard to double marking that ISO. There's so much space. As we see the throw again.
You can see some support from the sidelines, both Italian and UK sides, but that's got to be a breakthrough around the mark of Molly Wedge. She did the right thing, I think, sitting on the isolation play at break side back shoulder, because that's the most valuable point to be exploited on. Actually, no, I'll tell you what, if it's a break, I take it back. That's incorrect, what I just said. However, the way the Italians are playing in this game is just a cut above the rest.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what they can do against Yaka, who absolutely demolished Seagulls.
It's going to be an exciting final. But I think Bristol still have some fight in them.
Oh, absolutely.
They still have some highlight reel plays.
Well, this is the moment where really, you know, you think Bristol didn't make it into the final for the UK National Championship a couple of weeks ago. They got knocked out in earlier stages, and that's a difficult one for Link to try and reel in. Good form on the layout, but can't quite make the distance. And a short field gifted to the Italians. Bick just shy. It's not Pagliarini, of course. That's Casarini. Dishes back. Saskia Bick. Of course, not an Italian, but one of the long-standing players for CUSB. Shout. Oh, Molly Wedge trying to sneak through for the block. And this is really good defense from Bristol, pinning the Italians that far sideline, making them take negative yards. That's a little bit of oxygen into the tank. Harris. Sorrenti dishes. Gives and goes. Harris now looking around to the backspace. Lolly. Durbin shutting down the dump. Has to chuck it into the end zone. It bobbles off the fingertips, and Ruth Taylor is there just to make sure. Brings it to the end zone line.
Impressive defense from Bristol.
Oh, but a drop catch. Kinga Roskowska just thinking about the upfield before she secured the disc into her palms, and another missed opportunity for Bristol. Can they grind it back? No, they can't. They just post it through the letterbox into the hands of Sada Bonus, and they are now extending their lead 12-5 over the Brits.
That's a tough point to watch. Bristol just immediately giving it away on an unforced error, playing phenomenal defense to win the disc back, forcing CUSB to go back, to go sideways, giving them absolutely nothing in the end zone.
Well,
and it's
clearly
just another clean drop.
Clearly Bristol have it in them to play the defensive level that they need to at this elite championship stage. What they don't have is the consistency on offense. And there are points where it really is just straight up personal errors. Overshooting Caorle Link, who tries to lay out. So that's just how far that disc was out in front, just off the first pass off the pull. And then, of course, just that lack of concentration, lack of focus. It's difficult when your opponents are so far ahead. It really gets your mental game sort of, juices flowing, almost like they're sort of the ghost of the defense is breathing down the back of the hairs in your neck. But hopefully they can get an injection of that confidence we saw in the first half. I can't help but think, Luke, at the early stages, when they went down, we nearly saw them come back. It was 7-2, and then 3 on the trot to make it 7-5. If that final point, because there were opportunities at that stage for Bristol to punch another in, this could have looked very, very different.
I mean, Bristol have shown us that they have the ability to take this game to Shout. And as you say, it's just it's the consistency that's lacking, which is unsurprising. Shout are...
Well, they're just polished.
They're so good.
But things to improve on, lessons to learn. Of course, this is the beautiful thing about Club Ultimate. You can have another crack at it in another year, and that is a beautiful piece of offense. A little bit too high. Oldfield goes up with 1 rather than 2. And the disc is given back to the Italians again.
It's another one of those turnovers. You catch the disc facing towards your own end zone. You turn around, you see the space, it's quite small. You have a fraction of a second to make the decision and execute the throw, and it just sails a bit too high.
And not by much, to be fair. It was a pretty close call. So, flashes of greatness just needs to be worked on for the future. Chesky with the break around. Low one. Oh, look at that poppy give and go attempt. Chesky chooses to holster it though. Oh, nearly. A huge grab. You see how frustrated she is. Even with that deficit, 7 up, she's still slapping the floor. And that's the kind of intensity you need. Oldfield now into Wedge. Kantorovich hanging out in the deep space. Wedge is there though, and that is another one on the board. Just nipping at the heels, just with a tiny, tiny little bit.
Yeah, Bristol, they've got it in them. Just might be a little bit too late on this occasion. But promising for the future of this Bristol squad. They've had a phenomenal year, a phenomenal season. Great showing at a number of European tournaments. Before Worlds, decent showing at Worlds, and then maybe they fell a little bit short of what they would have liked at UK Nationals, but semi-finals at the European Championships is a phenomenal result. And playing this well against the team this good.
Absolutely. I have to say I'm quite sad to not see the national champions for the UK here at the European level. That was, of course, London Masters Ultimate.
Understandable,
showing that you don't have to be in your 20s to win things. But, of course, the difficult format here, many of those individuals, I think they have 18 babies between them now, so an entire, you know, they are the future of Ultimate. Women are the future of Ultimate because we're the ones that have the children. But although, of course, there are people that do not identify as women that have wombs, to be fair, to be truthful about these things. But
the point is,
it's difficult.
It is difficult. There's a distinct lack of childcare facilities at this particular tournament. But also, they did go and play a World Championship this year, so
they did, but that wasn't where they wanted to peak. Their eyes on the prize was at UK Nationals. Would you believe it, Luke? But they did do very well at the World Club Masters Championships as well. Farolfi, near sideline. Thinks about the inside, pops back instead. Bengi with the fetching bucket hat's going to overthrow Francesco Sorrenti.
Cusper not playing perfectly.
Nope. Hocking. Back to Link. Doesn't like the looks of Sang. It's going to be a big one around to Izzy Collins, who's left her mark completely for dust. She throws it a little bit too loose, though. Overshoots Fliss Man. Man, oh man. Off they go, the players in white. Julia Harris working with Farolfi. Oh my goodness, the release on that inside flick is gorgeous. Julia Harris. Popping to an outstretched palm for Farolfi Sorrenti, and it's into the end zone. Bish, bash, bosh. Thank you very much. Elena Bengi will put the 13th point on the board.
This CUSB offense, when it gets going, is absolutely unstoppable. Every single throw well under 3 seconds. Most of them under 1 second.
The timing. It's like a dance routine. It's like they've been practicing it exactly how it's happening in a studio somewhere, just like, you know, we'll do it at walking speed, ladies, then we'll put your 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just beautiful.
I really hope they can do this against Yaka tomorrow.
Oh, heck yes.
If they can, it's going to be a sensational game.
Oh, and here comes the wind, rustling our camera coverings. We did have a rogue plastic bag that floated onto the other stream pitch, and I'm very sad that I don't think the commentators made any references to American Beauty whatsoever. Missed opportunity there. But big moments in big games. 2 points left for the Italians to add to their tally, because this one has only gone to 68 minutes so far. Of course, 90 available in full as the Italian coach strides in front of our commentary booth, looking very smug. Focused, but a little bit smug. Randalls. Shoots deep immediately. Wedge was gunning for the end zone, but in the space already. Sara Rabaglia. Rabaglia now shooting around. It's going to be nice and low, but kept well by Marcassini.
Oh,
Carla Link! Carla Link with the huge play. She's still here.
She came from miles away. She read that play so early.
Laurel Piper's going to chuck it into the end zone, but it's going to be blocked away by Edgar Marcassini. And look how much dirt is on Caorle Link's shirt right now. Woof.
A filthy shirt for a filthy block. But she's got to go do it again.
Absolutely, they won't make that mistake a second time, I'm sure. Bick on this near side. Swings back to the centre. There's a foul call, which would be a complete stoppage and would give the disc back to the Italians.
Wow, what a point this is turning out to be.
Yep, bit of Frangipane Piper action coming together in the offset space. Frantic defense there. I tell you what, if Bristol can work on their offensive execution over the next 12 months.
Their defense is so good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been praising Shout's offense, but the moment Bristol get the slightest look in.
Did you see the sass on the toss back from Sarah Jeffrey? Oh, she's not a happy girl. Not a happy. To be fair, if I'd gotten that block, that pressure of D, I would also not be happy. But that is the rule, the foul, the violation by your other teammate. It's like when you get penalised in yardage, we do something silly in the NFL.
Yeah, there's no continuation rule in whiff diff rules. USAU, that's probably a turnover.
Well, you can choose. You can choose to say didn't affect the play, therefore that D should stand.
Yes.
But
the point is the USAU rules insist that it's a turnover rather than
indeed.
whiff diff rules where it could go back if players.
And that sometimes causes issues at world level.
Although, still much prefer the whiff diff rules.
Either way, I think we've made it very apparent by our commentary that we are digging Bristol women's defence.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if CUSB get the disc back. Bristol got this. They're going to go get the block.
And it also, I think, doesn't really matter to the outcome of this game what happens in this call.
No, probably not.
Pride.
But you play every point to win every point.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what the scoreline is.
In fact, you have to. That's also
You're obliged.
the rules.
You're literally obliged to.
We talked about this yesterday with the interesting catch-up at Moon Catchers Ranelagh game, which we saw a repeat of. And whether or not Moon Catchers intended to lose the first one, they also lost the second one. Hashtag awkward.
The second one wasn't. There was no good reason to lose that one. First one. Oh, what a grab that was.
There's never a good reason to lose a Frisbee match, even if you're playing the schedule, not the games. Right. So back on the charge are the Italians, looking to bring themselves within one of the gold medal match. It's going to be a loose pass though again, and it's a turnover midfield. Marcassini with Jeffrey picking straight up. Randall's now surveying. Wedge gets a little bit cut off by Lodge. Going to have to huck it and hope. Molly Wedge attacking the far sideline. Oh. It's a layout grab for the goal.
Wow.
Woof.
That is ridiculous. I was seriously worried for Bristol there. Randall's stood with the disc, surveying the field. She had her eyes locked on her reset. Caorle Link was jinking and jiving in front of her, trying to get free, but Molly Wedge was running towards the end zone, so there's also that.
I think it was the thing of Wedge realised that the stall count was rising, saw Caorle sort of faffing around in front of the disc a little bit, trying to get free after that.
Caorle Link.
Oh my goodness, my feelings.
Unreal.
I could honestly watch that on a TikTok loop for probably about 17 hours.
Yeah, make it happen, Milan.
This is when someone morals me in the comments. Safety. But I think it was the thing of Molly Wedge identified the fact that there was no dump. The off-handler was in front of the disc, trying to juke around and get free. And then just says, you know what, I'm going to go make something happen.
Yeah.
But that is a big get out of jail free card. And perhaps one could argue, Luke, that Bristol became too accustomed to having the likes of Molly Wedge on their squad. And that was maybe why they didn't have quite that reset valve at UK Nationals.
I mean, Molly Wedge was the stats leader of the women's division at the World Championships.
And deservedly so.
Deservedly so, although I did hear a rumour that Bristol were kind of forcing it a bit once they realised nevertheless, whether they're trying to get her stats or not, she's a phenomenal player.
Absolutely. So Harris with a big low release, air bouncing it up. This is much more like the form we saw earlier from the Italians. Pagliarini has to take the reset to Harris, who stumbles around on the mark.
Pick called downfield.
Been matched up with Flissman. Really appreciating how Bristol's given us lots of survey info. The defensive cutter. There are lots of Frisbee siblings in the UK Ultimate scene. Flissman is one of the lesser known ones. Has 2 brothers already playing. She says that it was the best decision ever to start playing Frisbee. We wholeheartedly agree. Make the right choice.
But it is better than Taekwondo. And karate. Karate's cool. As
Are you saying Taekwondo's not?
The Olympics have made it weird.
Oh, so how do you feel about Ultimate being in the Olympics? We'll talk about that. We'll do an AMA later.
The World Games is amazing. That's my opinion.
I agree. Harris. Hot pressure from Taylor on the shoulder. Scattieri. Pagliarini now. Put themselves within one. Hockin has a go at a layout, but it's far too far behind. Tramonte with the goal. Oh, no, actually, that's not Tramonte. That's the Sorrenti. But that is double the scoreline of Bristol. 14-7. For every one, they've scored 2. It's a bit like the people that saucily say, since you're a vegetarian, for every animal you don't eat, I'm going to eat 3.
Yeah. That's such a weird response. Like,
well, you know, if it's responsibly sourced, you know, good farming practices.
Doesn't matter. Go vegan, everyone.
Respectfully, no. I'm all about, personally, doing what you're going to do, but thinking about how you're consuming and where you're consuming it from.
Yeah, do that and then go vegan.
If that's the outcome of you trying to be thoughtful,
that should be the outcome of you being thoughtful of what you consume. But anyway, also my thoughts on the Olympics are somewhat irrelevant because Ultimate is not going to be there, at least not for a while.
Indeed.
If ever.
All that shaking of tail feathers unfortunately did come to naught this time out. We didn't get picked. But it's going to be Ultimate 4s, which is very strange. I'm very glad.
It's quite fun though, if you played 4s.
It's exhausting.
The pitch is unbelievably huge for 4v4.
Oh,
but it is quite fun. Can recommend.
It's definitely favouring the offense, is what I will say. Because it's like one-on-one in the end zone for the entire pitch.
One-on-one in each quarter of the pitch.
Absolutely. Jeffrey catching behind her back for that one, but does it with style. Very impressive stuff from the young Bristol athlete. Oh, just about clutching that one. Oh. Immediately dishing.
Same hand. Catch and throw. He loves it.
Affectionately known as Jeff. Played in the under-24s division. Just tirelessly running around the back. I think probably playing at the same pace and intensity as Shout have been on offense. Clearly taking a page out their book. Always ready, always available. Hasn't really made an error yet. There's a bit of a chat in the cup. Randall's just saying perhaps you got a bit too much of a touch from Sarah Bonos. We see some pretty pink jerseys in the back of the camera view. Of course, that would be 3SB versus Valkyria. Those two having been knocked out by these two teams on the pitch in front of us. Oldfield trying to come in now. Does have room on the far sideline. Cordelia Lodge, who says hello to the family Lodge, who will be watching these games. And it's another one put on the back of Molly Wedge, and she delivers the goal. 8 points for Bristol. But it's a job to do if they're going to get anywhere near the Italians at this stage.
Yeah, Molly Wedge, extremely impressive for Bristol once again. Nice work from Bristol to keep that disc moving around the back. And as soon as they got through the cup, they convert with a deep shot to their favourite receiver. Nicely weighted throw. Gave Wedge plenty of time and space to make the read and make the play. Pretty difficult for anyone from Shout to get near it.
And look at the love there. I love the bit of head stroking from Amelia Durbin. I think that's Lisa Hocking just squatted in front of her. The affection that Bristol have had for each other for a really long time I've always enjoyed it. I've had the pleasure of playing against them many a time. Not had the pleasure of being matched up against Shout yet. Probably a pipe dream at this point until they qualify out for Masters and put together an outfit for there. We're ready and waiting for you in that division. I'm sure they'll be just as rapid.
You can always try and get them
time.
to Glasgow, Hanny.
I have tried to get Anna Cheshky to play Frisbee with me when she's been in the UK.
That would be fun.
Well, she kept doing really cool things like being at gender equity forums and like writing awesome articles and just generally being a badass. But, you know, we try.
It's pretty rude, really. Turning down playing with Hannah Pendlebury for doing important EUF work.
100% the right move. But that is a lovely inside shot. Well taken by Scazzieri to Anna Cheshky. And she puts it out into space. This for the gold medal.
Oh,
match. No, it's not. It's dropped. Straight up Tramonte. Clap of doom.
And you can get away with that now, but tomorrow in the final, we expect the scoreline to be significantly closer, and mistakes like that will not go unpunished.
Well, we see the Italians setting up in their zone again as Hocking's going to bring it back into play. Roskowska just stepping back. Now attacking forward. A little bit of a wobble on that one, but well caught. Puts her body on the floor. Against the wind and the... Actually, that's good spacing from the cup, actually, respecting and not double teaming. But this is real pinning. Durbin with a bit of momentum. Taylor then.
Ooh.
Little chat.
Thought that return pass was going to go, but I guess the mark got in the way.
Yeah, a bit too much hand on the mark. Oh, a dish over the top. Nice idea from Ruth Taylor, and it gets them on the burners. Giving and going. Making sure. Hocking sneaking up this near sideline. Wedge saying she wants someone attacking in front. Roskowska puts up a bit of a hopeful one. Linda Chang underneath it. Nearly Ruth Taylor with the backup. But it's going to be Italian disc. Can they link this one together? Harris on the far sideline. Has a little think about it, but sits and waits. Squeaks one out to Pagliarini. This is really nice stuff on the break side. Slight air bounces. That one's going to have a lot of hang time. Wally Wedge underneath, just enough pressure. Doesn't make the catch, but definitely gets in the way of Nada Tramonte. Taylor now has Durbin going for it, and she takes the opportunity. That's going to sit and hang and band in a bad way, but it's going to be snagged by Amelia Durbin. My goodness, what a read on a bit of a loose one.
What a read indeed. Durbin's been spending some time in the library this season.
Oh yeah, she's got her glasses on, reading card out. She's made good friends with the librarian.
Yeah.
But no, that was lovely. A spicy one from Taylor.
Yeah.
For sure.
Spicy is the word as we get another look. Taylor sees Durbin going deep.
To be fair, she didn't have a mark.
No.
So that's a really good opportunity taken. Perhaps making it more challenging, but I mean, heck. Bring it out. You're on a live stream. Why the heck not?
I mean, we can criticize the sort of throwing execution decision, whether it should have been IO instead of roll curve or a forehand or whatever. But the fact of the matter is Durbin makes the play. And Bristol are not done playing this game.
It's a really good point you make. It's Taylor in space with no mark, Durbin in space with no mark. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to work.
Just has to get there.
And it did.
Just hit the space. With anything even remotely catchable will do. And
I mean, Amelia Durbin is a pretty good receiver when she goes down to that side of the field.
She is quite good.
Pretty decent, mate.
Quite good at Frisbee.
And I'm a big fan of the amount of ribbon action going on with the Bristol outfits. Just, you know, a little bit of flair in there. So when you do make those big layout grabs, it just flutters in the wind behind you.
I'd like to see them all have like the red ribbons in the hair. I think that would be a fun
there's
look.
some solid power plat action also, to be honest. I'm a big fan of the power plat.
Yeah.
And a lovely pull gives the defense time down to get there. Casarini. Still count rising with Sang on the mark. That's going to be picked out. This goes straight into the hands of Scazzieri. Oh my goodness. Ceschi. Up to Tremonti. A big collision. It's going to bring that one all the way back. Molly Wedge pulling a lot of duty between two players. Irene Scazzieri hanging out in the backspace, but Lady Luck favouring the Italians finally again. After that hit disc from Molly Wedge, if only she'd been able to catch it. And that is why we say catch it ease.
Yeah, how that disc got through.
It
To be
had
fair,
power on it.
Bristol have come down with some somewhat lucky discs of their own this game. So
Oh, absolutely. As I say, it's
goes both ways.
Lady Luck finally smiling on the Italians.
Yeah. It bounces out.
So good at the beginning of the game. And we're now getting a bit of sunshine here in the late afternoon on these fields after yesterday's torrential, horrendous rain. Sang trying to shut down the around, but the gap is found to Ceschi. Pops back to Pagliarini, who keeps it alive. Really throwing for their lives out here are the Italians. You wouldn't think they have the buffer. They do. The level and intensity they're playing. It's a big shot around. So many players rolling around on the floor, and it's an inside shot at long last. CUSB closed the book. Oh no, take it back. Call on the field. Premature.
There's a down call on the previous pass, which I was surprised to not see a stoppage on that because it did look pretty close. Although Bristol have decided it was in fact up. Play stands, and CUSB shouts will join Yaka in the final tomorrow.
They certainly will. We will be bringing you that match as the Italians celebrate. It really was all about the opener of that game. They took charge, came out the blocks with an immediate break of the Bristol side, and it's just been a tussle. Credit to Bristol, they've had some fantastic defense. It seemed to take them a little while to get their heads into the game, but of course at the end of that first half, 3 on the bounce to give themselves a bit of a boost. They got shut out early stages of the second, and the comeback never really looked like it was going to happen, but things to work on for next season. They will go into the bronze medal game against the winner earlier, sorry, the loser even. What am I doing? The winner, the loser, the bronze medal match.
Against Seagulls.
Dirty gold against Seagulls. So it's been a pleasure to bring you this match.
Correct call.
Oh, yeah.
Nicely done.
But we're going to close out our highlight reel soon so we can get onto the next stream for you. It is going to be some mixed division action. It's going to be, oh goodness, what can I say? Sorry, being attacked by wasps. So it's going to be Reading Ultimate, more GB action here on the stream on field number 4, leftovers of the Czech Republic. That is the semi-final after the pool play finally finished earlier today. Reading did not look the cleanest in their game against Mosquitoes from Austria, which we saw but a few hours ago. But Bristol will unfortunately take this one. The loss against CUSB Shout looking in fine fettle. They advance to the gold medal match 15-9.
Merci beaucoup. ULTI.TV.